My art is a work in progress because I am a work in progress, transforming and growing as an individual and a creative. In 2019, I became a drawing student to master artist Hyacinthe, who teaches her Making Your Mark technique. Here is my journey in learning to draw and learning to make my own mark.
You are the creator. You can change anything you don't like. This is the painter. When you see, he's from the 1810 to 1812 is when he did these drawings. And this school is still very much influencing guys like Buchanan and his ilk. This is an excellent book, by the way. It's called The Male Nude. One of the things that I always tried to do in my paintings was elevate my mood. To strive for a higher feeling. You know how if you're out in the landscape and you're looking at a tree with a mountain in the background and you just feel as if you've risen above all the cares and woes and
like a higher consciousness.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And I always strive to reach that state to a point where when I got into that state, I just began to feel as if I wasn't even creating the piece, something else was driving the force that was driving me to do this, you know. And
that's wonderful.
That's why I never did drugs in my life, because taking drugs could never give me that feeling that I was able to achieve, you know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that is missing today. You know, I also felt that I wanted to impart a sense of beauty, to have people remember when they looked at the work, a feeling of aesthetics, and how beautiful the human spirit can be, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you can see here, I've added the pattern of dogs. And I haven't done it yet here. See the difference between this leg and this one? So when the pattern of dogs is added, it leads the eye all around the figure, right? Back up again. And that's not something I did in particular. This is something that Michelangelo realized. Was how to lead the eye around.
Once a week, I attend my drawing lesson, bringing in my weekly homework and taking in the wisdom of an American master artist, designer, sculptor, editor, and child prodigy.
Little cheek. And that's going to be the dark of the hair. Right? See how it's starting to shape up? So I'm using the chalk almost as if it were clay. Right? You see how how forward this leg looks?
Yes.
That one's thrown back, and how this comes forward, and I shortened it so it's not so long. I know that we are creative beings, the child within. However, it needs to be given permission to contact the creativity, what I call the silent stranger. Making your mark is a hands-on method. The basic tools you need to release the silent stranger and emotions are your fingertips. Add charcoal and you give yourself permission to get dirty, which releases your inner critic. Add a kneaded rubber eraser, and you give yourself permission to change anything I don't like. And in the end, you will get to know yourself as a creator.
Making your mark is a process, and it took me time to fully understand. Let me take you back to my early drawings to witness the beginning and how I got started.
So interesting. So these are all making your mark.
Yes.
This is the beginning
Mm-hmm.
of very chaotic, but good mark making. And then the idea is to find imagery in these marks, because it very often is. And you can see, if you look at this, some lines have been added, some darks have been added, and all of a sudden a figure is emerging from random marks that you think are meaningless, and they're not. They're not meaningless. This is a picture of frustration. Well, obviously you just had it. You're very angry at the picture, angry at yourself, and felt free enough to destroy it, which I like very much. Okay, this one is very interesting because it shows, again, a complete lack of understanding of what you're supposed to be doing with the making your mark technique. Because the making your mark technique is supposed to allow you to feel a sense of freedom.
Yes.
And to get rid of that evil inner critic that's on your shoulder telling you, why are you even trying? You can't do it. That's the result. Correct? So no matter how you look at this, there's nothing there that's worth saving. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't find anything. Very evil face, maybe. Maybe teeth.
Yeah, just a lot of...
Whoever it is very evil. Get rid of it.
Lots of darkness.
And this is really early. This is
It's very early.
beautiful. Random marks, and we pulled a figure out of those marks. There's enough information there for us to do it. Same thing with this one. And this one, beginning to try other mediums because you're very frustrated with the charcoal. You haven't got how to smooth it and how to make it work for you. So you started scratching and doing all kinds of stuff. And came out with a kind of Buddha figure, but not. You can't develop it because you don't have the technique yet. It's coming, yeah? And this is, I don't know what these are. Figure studies?
Yes, they must be figure
Just some figure studies, okay. And this is, did we pull this?
That's a making your mark, yeah.
Look at the difference in attitude. Look at the bird of paradise that's coming out, Shows a whole different, not even the same person, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you compare? Amazing. Okay, this was a very, very early piece.
Yeah.
Just totally lost. Wow. And now it's starting to come together, and it's taking a lot of effort. Scratching and adding white and pulling it out and erasing it and putting it back, and still not zeroing in on what you've created here. you know? That's going to come later. This exercise, we put two faces together, made a couple. I noticed the man has his eyes closed. Or is he looking down at the woman? We don't know, but again, a lot of scratching, a lot of adding of extra things. Same thing here. Very strong, very effective, very self-assured. Now, all of a sudden, starting to use the charcoal to create shapes and shadows and thinking about the light and how the light creates the shapes. And the light and the dark working together. Whereas in this one, you had no idea. Another early piece with the heart. Wow. Very dynamic. You got a lot going for you. A lot of stuff that's got to come out. Progress. More experimentation, which is a great idea for anybody who's learning how to draw, particularly with making your mark technique, which is using charcoal and an eraser. And that's all you need. Yeah, very, very interesting. I see some of you starting to come out. And I'm more interested in using the charcoal the way it's supposed to be used. I have a lot of interesting progress going on here. There you go. See it happening?
Yes.
From this to this. Back and forth. Back and forth. I happen to love this drawing. But it's not a making your mark. Ooh, you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Look at that. Look at that person there with that ghost light, whoever this is.
Wow.
Oh, I remember this piece. It's a very early one. And you were scratching your little heart out. Because you were using the oil crayon, weren't you?
That's an oil crayon.
And the oil crayon lays wax down on the paper and you can scratch right through it. But you added the charcoal, right?
Correct.
So you're beginning to develop an interesting technique, but it wasn't exactly what we were aiming for, to get the most out of you. Okay? Okay, all mixed up with the lines. Should I use line? And I shouldn't use line. I'm trying everything you know how. I love this piece. I love it. Okay.
More making.
Oh my goodness.
Making a
Woo! Look at all those figures.
Yeah. A lot of figures.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of
Every which
A lot of
way.
people coming through.
These are transitional pieces in the journey where it's beginning to become known that a lot of black creates shapes and those shapes create form. And still there's a lot of scratching, but not as much as we were into. Not as much as when we were really into scratching with the oil crayons.
Yes.
So these are oil crayon and charcoal. And then all of a sudden, one day, it all came into view. And this is a perfect example of what the charcoal can capture for you. Beautiful. Just beautiful. And continuing along that path, oh, this is one. Very mature one. Fearless use of the dark and the shadows, and very expressive and dynamic is the word. This is the result that we were looking for. At this point, we made a transition. I started doing a series called After Michelangelo, and we were using wonderful books of his sculptures, beautiful, fabulous photographs, so we were able to see very clearly. And so this is a beginning sketch of the figure. This is a rough one, trying different techniques, using curves to flush out the body and getting it into place. These are just figure studies. This is going back to the end of the scratching period. It's very beautiful. I love it. It's a magnificent piece. Well composed, has so much feeling, and the use of the charcoal in the features of the face is incredible. Fantastic. And here, she's come to a point with a complete understanding of what the charcoal is capable of. Beautiful, beautiful drawing. Very pleased with it. Needs a few extra things. Could use some definition as to the end of the face and what's going to happen. But she's achieved what we were trying to achieve. She's achieved the ability to render a face using charcoal and an eraser. That's it. And then this one shows how brave she is, trying to draw a sculpture which is not flesh. This is you could say a dead thing. It's cold, stone cold. So there's no flesh to be rendered, and you really captured the sculptor's mark on this one. I just adore it.
Learning to make my mark has empowered me to exercise my creative freedom. This process, however, did not happen overnight. It took years of showing up to lessons, bringing in my homework, and in Hyacinthe's words, doing the work. Over the course of my learning, I was faced with both great loss and new life in becoming a mother. During these life transitions, the process of making your mark allowed inspiration to free my emotions and see things as never before. I will treasure these teachings in my lifelong growth as an artist, mother, and individual. Hyacinthe has inspired countless students like myself to be free in their creative living, and we offer an invitation for others to make their own mark in their creative lives as well. Thank you for watching.
Yes, homework.
Draw, girl.
It's a moth.
When did you learn to draw so good?
In the last 3 years that I've been coming here, being your student.
Look at that. These are so beautiful, Sandy.
Thank you.
Thank you to Hyacinthe Barron, whose Making Your Mark techniques have inspired so many, including John Lennon when they collaborated on Bag 1 and whose lithographs remain in the Smithsonian since 1969. Marcel Duchamp stated, "Hyacinthe's genius is evident. She is a great draftsman and master of the art of drawing."
Life is a journey, and I have searched for ideals and values, always looking for a way to disregard the pain of reality. And as an artist, I constantly strive to capture it in the pure sense of the truth of my emotions.